Hi, my name is Kaylee Potter, and I was in charge of most of the research for our project. So, for this project, we chose to create a toy for children ages about 7 to 9 that addresses attention deficit and sensory seeking disorders in class, while also keeping students engaged in class content. So, in order to connect the two, we chose to make a fidget toy that also relates to a subject that students this age are learning in class, so we chose the water cycle for this. So, we used the engineering design cycle. So the first step that we used was research. So the problem that we decided on was ADHD and other similar difficulties having negative effects on focus and working memory, specifically for children. So in our research, we found that toys can support attention and encourage problem solving in children, and specifically kids ages 7 to 9 benefit from hands-on activities. So we decided to design a toy that was engaging and helpful in the classroom for those difficulties.
Hi, my name is Ian Snezrev, and I was the product tester, sort of, and the safety officer. So, for these stages of the design cycle, we imagined and we first planned, we drew out sort of the shape of the spinner and what each portion was going to have on it. Then we made our first model, which is very small, but it was just trying to just test out if we had the model down. It's the CAD drawings you can see on the right. Then our first prototype was basically made of cardboard and paper, and it had all the main functions. And it went to go test the kids, but obviously it wasn't very developed. So so we sent that old model from the last slide with the cardboard to schools with children, and the children claimed that it did in fact work to reduce ADHD, calming them and having a calming effect. And they said it was creative, but they gave us suggestions to improve the box and add more detail and sturdiness. So this was the final model we created after, not final, but almost final. With the sturdier background, it was slightly bigger and had more complex parts. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Kieran Feeney, and I was in charge of material procurement, and I was the point of contact. And here's our project functionality and objectives. So we had a different fidget toy on each section of our um, fidget spinner that represent each part of the water cycle. So at the top of this image here, you can see that we had a little sun that represented evaporation, and it was a little clicky toy. And then on the right, we had a foam cloud that represented condensation. On the bottom, this is a water droplet with beads inside of it that you can roll that represented evaporation. And then on the left, we had a smooth and um, bumpy river that represented the collection part of the water cycle. Um, and then here are our technical drawings in CAD for each of these pieces, except the cloud because that was just a piece of foam. On the left here is the base of the entire fidget spinner. And then on the right here is kind of what we had for our sun. And then this is our water droplet. And these are all of our drawings.
My name is Joe, and I'm the main CAD designer for the team. In conclusion, Fidget Toy can help managing ADHD in the classroom. It's an educational toy that can further benefit students, and we are using our skills as engineers to overcome the obstacles in our toy design. And I'll be going over the challenges we have for this project. Starting off is the limited space. The toy must spin smoothly in a children's hand, thus giving us a very small canvas to work with. This contributes to the next challenge, which is tolerance between parts. Because we had interacting parts, the degrees of freedom on the movements was important, which forced us to work with high precision. In order to let the toy spin for as long as possible, the weight distribution of the toy was also a concern. And of course, there were safety concerns. And advice for next year freshmen. I cannot stress this enough. Start early and try to finish early. You do not want to be fighting for the makerspace on the last week. And take the project seriously. There are many industry professionals on FED, which is a great chance for you to show off, if you have a good project. Communication is key, or else people will be working in different directions, and well, it's not going to work out. And here's the references we used for our research. Thank you for watching.